Do you have the post-DLC blues? And what is next for Starfield? Welcome back to a brand new episode of Starfield with Normal People. My name is Duane, and I am joined by my friend Michael. Michael, how are you this week, sir?
I'm doing great. I know what you mean. I know what you mean about the post-DLC blues, and we're going to get into it.
Do you?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Also was noticing, Michael, in our Discord, things were getting a little quiet in there.
Yeah.
At first, there was a lot of excitement with the DLC, obviously. A lot of people jumped in. We're checking out the new DLC from Bethesda, Shat Spa or Shattered Space. And then kind of the last, I'd say, week, it's been very quiet. And so that kind of gave me the idea for this episode, which is the post DLC blues. Have you ever gotten that before in a video game? Have you ever kind of gone deep on a game and then
Yeah.
kind of maybe either completed it or just put in so many hours and then you just take a break and put it aside for a minute? Or
There's been quite a few games where you hit the end credits. So it's interesting because we're talking about the post DLC blues, which is definitely a real thing. But I am really reminded of a lot of times where I would play a really heavy story-based game and then hit those credits. Some of the biggest ones definitely were like off the top of my head, Shadow of the Colossus, because you're sort of facing what you've done in this game. And maybe it was not as good a thing as you thought. I had a friend that he would, and I feel this, he would play Final Fantasy, which are these sprawling stories.
Right.
And then the credits would roll. He would just say, don't talk to me. Because he would just sit, watch the credits, and listen to the music.
Right.
And just let that feeling wash over him of completing that story. It's very bittersweet.
I felt that many times in a really good film. Sometimes you just want to sit there.
Yeah.
You're not necessarily reading the credits. Maybe you are kind of just zoning in and out, but you need to decompress for a minute and kind of take it all in and feel what you've just been through.
Yeah.
And I think it does depend on the game to some degree, but a really great game, it's going to instill this feeling in you that you're going to want to revisit. So even if the end credits do roll, you'll be back.
Yeah.
And does your friend still play Final Fantasy, or is it kind of like this nostalgia bubble in the back of his brain where it's like, I remember that, it was so cool, but I put it on the shelf?
I believe he is the type to go back and revisit these old games and even play the new ones, of course. Actually, this friend just reached out to me because he got an emulator on his computer and he was playing Metal Gear Solid 2, Sons of Liberty,
Nice.
which was a game that he and I had played a lot. We had that shared experience. Like Metal Gear Solid that's another one. That's like, those games are so insane with their story, and you kind of hit the credits and you're just like, okay, I got to think about this.
Yeah, I think for Half-Life 2 for me was a big one because gameplay was so much fun in that game that the story, while the story was great and the environment was amazing, obviously you get spoiled as you complete the game, but the gameplay and the action, the excitement of the game is still there. So you go back and you keep playing, or you play multiplayer, or you play one of the offshoots like Counter-Strike or whatever came out of Half-Life 2.
With Starfield and especially Shattered Space, pretty much any Bethesda game, you have this experience where I didn't know what to expect from Shat Spa. And now that I have played it and I know what's in it, I feel like, oh, okay, well, now I got to play it again. Because with Bethesda games, I always feel like I have to play them. I mean, I play them endlessly, but I always have to play it at least twice, because the first time you're sort of figuring out what's in it. I'm happy with how I progressed the story,
Hmm.
but there's always a different way to do it. So some people, I see this all the time with Bethesda games where some people say, oh, okay, I'm not really happy with the choices I made now that I've reached the
Hmm.
end.
It is a tree essentially with all these branches. And on your first playthrough, you are taking that one branch wherever it goes. And you've missed myriad other offshoots of story
Yeah.
and whatever else. So yeah, I think there's the opportunity to replay quite a bit.
Also, regarding the how quiet it's been,
Hmm.
it's not just our Discord, it's the subreddits, it's everywhere. You and I have talked about how Starfield is a single player game. So single player DLC comes out and we all get excited and we hit that DLC and then it's done. Now, we've known about Shattered Space at least just in title only from the beginning
Hmm.
of and now this post DLC Blues as you call it, we're kind of like, okay, so what's next? We don't know. We have no idea. And
Hmm.
it's very exciting, but it's also like, I'm just dying to know something.
It does feel like just the beginning still. This was a major DLC. I feel like it's still early in the grand scheme of this game, just knowing how
Yeah,
Fallout 4 played out with multiple expansions and the longevity that that game has had in other Bethesda titles as well.
yeah,
It's early in Starfield. Starfield has a lot of life left in it. And you're right, it's a single player game. And that means you can put it on the shelf for a while, like Elf on a Shelf.
yeah, that's right.
And by the way, I found the replacement for Elf on a Shelf is now Snoop Doggy Dogg, so it's Snoop on
I
the
saw.
Stoop.
Yes, I
You saw that
just
too?
saw. I just we were in a store and I saw Snoop on the stoop and I was like, wow,
He knows how to
this
market himself, doesn't he?
he is so good at marketing himself. Wow.
But
Yep.
yeah, I mean, you're going to put Starfield potentially. Maybe you're still playing it. I am, but I think
Yeah.
some people could put it away for a little while and then come back. And I saw something fascinating, which you have said many times in the past about Starfield, which is it is a game for explorers,
Yeah.
right? It fulfills this niche for people who love exploring. And I think that's why there has been some criticism from, well, I don't know, YouTubers and people trying to get clicks about
Yeah.
the type of game that it is. In terms of a space exploration game, I mean, I think it's obviously I'm biased, but I think it's the best out there. I've played a little bit of No Man's Sky. It's
Mm-hmm.
great for what it is, but it doesn't have the
Yeah.
lore, it doesn't have the story that Starfield has. It has other things.
Yeah. It doesn't. Yeah. Yeah. It's a great sandbox. It's super
Hmm.
fun, but it doesn't have cities full of characters
Right.
that all yeah have their own history and backstory. Like yeah, you can't compare. Like it just I don't know. Starfield, I just think it's funny when someone comes along and says, "Oh, but I don't like how some of the 150 plus POIs, I don't like that sometimes they repeat, and I would rather
Yeah.
play No Man's Sky." Okay, well that's fine, but you know No Man's Sky has like 5 POIs, like
Hmm.
instead of 150. I don't know. It's silly. I don't know.
Yeah, but it's seamless space to planet.
Yeah, which is cool.
There's that. Yeah, it's
It's
cool.
super cool. It's
Hmm.
super cool. But Starfield is more realistic in its time. Like they've shown how if you can travel from here to that planet and it will take like 9 hours
Hmm.
and they just realize that it's yeah, you just it's like a movie. Cut to next scene. We're there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know some people are like, "Oh, don't focus on the negativity," but it is important. It's a part of the whole experience. To be a Starfield fan, dealing with people saying these things is part of the experience,
Yeah, I mean,
unfortunately.
listen, everything that you like has a hater out there somewhere.
Yeah.
I went to a Violent Femmes concert. Loved them in high
Oh, yeah,
school.
they're great. Yeah.
Always wanted to see them. They came to Vegas, so I went to one of their shows. There's some random dude who's like just didn't get the music, and it was a concert where there was multiple acts playing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's always.
That person is always, figuratively standing behind you,
Yeah,
saying stupid things about something that you love.
saying stop having fun.
And you just have to kind of realize that you love it for the reasons that you love it. And it doesn't matter what other people think or say. If you like it, and if you're grounded in your confidence of liking what you like, then
Yeah.
all is well in the universe. So, Michael, we both received our Seagate external hard drives, and I was able to hook mine up. Did you hook yours up?
Yeah, yeah. First off, we want to just say thank you for Seagate sending these to us. Really appreciate that. This is definitely one of those things where when I first saw it a year ago, I definitely wanted one.
Hmm.
I like I love the little lights on it. First off, like
Yeah. You know what was nice is it immediately brought up the storage window on my desktop. Sometimes you plug in a hard drive and nothing happens. I don't
yeah,
know if that's due to
sometimes you got to
whatever.
reformat it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's like something they don't quite have the software that's built in on the hard drive ready, or who knows what, but this was immediately available. Of course, like you said earlier, the RGB lights lit up and looked fantastic. Also, I gotta say, it's slim.
It's very slim. Yeah.
It's the size of an SSD drive. While it's not an SSD drive, and you probably
Yeah.
wouldn't put actual Starfield on this because they do recommend an SSD drive, it's amazing for if you're capturing in-game video or if you're just doing general storage. This is a nice addition.
I think it's important. Gamers, especially PC gamers, are very familiar with RGB colors. These are not the classic RGB, like basic colors. These are colors that match Constellation's branding and the
Right.
Starfield branding. It's a really cool collection of, red, blue, and gold, not, not the classic RGB colors, just the basic rainbow that you usually get.
Yep.
So I do like that attention to detail. This hard drive actually changed my video workflow. So in the past, the Series X, I would actually record clips and then it would just automatically go to OneDrive. So I would wait for it to upload and
Right.
then download on my computer. I did that for convenience. And then when Seagate sent these hard drives, I was actually like, wait a minute. Now I make a lot of Starfield videos. A Starfield hard drive would be a great place to store all that footage. I don't know. It's cool to have a Starfield themed hard drive where I keep all my Starfield footage. So that's what I'm doing now.
Well, very cool. I'm happy to hear that it changed your workflow. That's interesting. And I also have a lot more storage space now on my computer, which is awesome. If you are interested in the Seagate Starfield Special Edition game drive, check out the link that we will provide to Amazon in our description, and you can buy your very own hard drive. It's available in a 2 terabyte, 5 terabyte, and even, is this right? An 8 terabyte hard drive? Wow, I didn't realize
That's
it had
crazy.
that big of an option, but I'm looking at it now, and it's just like the other ones. Like you said, it's very well done with the design of the device itself, both in regard to the RGB color scheme and just the overall aesthetics of it. So thanks again to Seagate.
Yeah. You said Starfield is a game for people that like exploring. And I love that number one, they've been saying that since the beginning. Look at their slogan. Isn't it like made for wanderers?
Yes.
Something like
Hmm.
that. And it's just like, dude, I am a wanderer. I am the person that spent 300 hours in No Man's Sky loving just going from planet to planet.
Mm-hmm.
And then that was before I had Starfield. And now in Starfield, I love just running around and driving the Rev 8 and finding new things and and I want to say that I'm so happy that Starfield, like, or Bethesda, they're sort of like acknowledging something that I feel like they took a while to acknowledge, and I'm glad they're saying it. Someone from Bethesda came out and said Starfield is building a brand new fan base.
I thought you
There
were going
is
to
a
say it just works. So that was not the thing that I thought.
yeah.
No, but
But
they're building a fan base. You're right.
they're building a new fan base, and I'm glad they finally said that, because it's not for Fallout fans. It's not for Skyrim fans, Elder Scrolls fans. Don't get me wrong, a lot of us are fans of all of that.
It can be.
But I'm glad they're finally acknowledging this is for a different group.
Yeah. And Todd saying that it's Skyrim in space has come back to haunt him so many times, because it really isn't, right? I mean, it uses the creation engine. So it kind of has this little brother aspect to it where it feels kind of like in the same universe. But gameplay is entirely different, and kind of the design concepts of the game are worlds apart.
And I'm not even 100% sure, like, did he say that, or did people say he said that? Because, like, it gets real muddy.
Yeah, it gets parroted a lot. I honestly don't know. Maybe we should fact check ourselves. Tell you what, if you guys know, leave a comment on our YouTube page and tell us the definitive truth. Or if you know Todd,
yes, please do. Yeah. Tell him to call me.
Yeah.
Also. Yeah, I only wanted to bring that up in case, someone's like, well, Todd didn't actually say that.
We've talked about game design in the past, and the thing about good game design is that it encourages you to stray from the path and then rewards you with something usually. I think Starfield is so good at that because there's no set path necessarily. There's guidelines, like, here's the story, let's go to Sarah's planet and figure out her storyline or whatever. So that exists, but the structure of the game itself is endless branches in every direction.
That's a good point, because I was thinking about how there's certain armors and weapons in the game that are very cool, that are unique to missions. And so I like how, number one, you can, like, I know that when I do the UC mission, I'm going to get this really cool set of armor. And so there's that. But then if you're thinking, how am I going to find legendary items?
Saves coming.
Out there in the world. Yeah, saves coming with stash. Or it's just exploring. So that's how you get rewarded. Like, if you really want to find legendaries and kit yourself out with those, you're going to find it by straying from the path, as you said.
Exploring does pay off.
Absolutely. Speaking of being rewarded, this is a very, very light spoiler for anyone who is still playing Shattered Space. As per usual with Bethesda Games, when you help people of a certain town, they usually say, hey, why don't you live here? If you've ever played a Bethesda game, that's the lightest spoiler ever. So yes, there is a place, there's a little home or an apartment that you can get in Dazra. Now, I really wanted to talk about this because they did something kind of brand new. Sort of.
Okay. Well, I haven't gotten that far, so I'm curious.
Actually, now that I think about it, they kind of did the same thing in the UC storyline. But anyway,
okay.
I digress. I just, basically, the first thing I noticed when you are given this apartment, it's like any other time. Here's a home. You can decorate it by going to this panel. We've seen this before. But I was sort of blown away. I guess I should have known, having done the UC storyline, but I don't know. I was blown away by the fact that there is no loading screen.
Mm.
You
Okay.
have your apartment, your home, and then you open the door and there's the city plaza. Just, it's right there.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing because I always think of my apartment, if you will, in Diamond City in Fallout 4.
Yeah.
And man, oh man, I don't know why, but that one always seemed to take a long time to load. And it got to the point where I was just like, I don't care anymore. I'm not going in there. It wasn't that big
Mm-hmm.
of a deal, but in my mind, I was like, I'm just going to go somewhere else. I,
Yeah.
so I did like the initial decorations and then nothing else. It remained that way for like the last 5 years.
Yeah.
So this is actually really cool. I mean, it sounds like such a small thing, but you're right. If you're walking out to the city square of Dazra, oh hey, I wanted to grab something out of my apartment, walk right back in, open the chest, whatever it is, grab your gun that you wanted, and right back out with no loading. I mean, that's cool.
To me, here's the thing is like, it's not just about the not having a loading screen. There is a feeling I got.
Mm,
It it sort of unlocked a feeling, and this is so, it might sound funny to some, but I was reminded of past family vacations
mm,
where you're in a new place. So Dazra's this new place. I had done all the missions and everything, but Dazra's this new place. And then you get your key to the hotel or the motel room or whatever.
mm-hmm.
And it's like, here you go, here's where you're staying. And that feeling of like, it's so funny. I almost imagined my character had a coffee mug in his hand because it's that whole like, you step out of you open the door from, like, let's say you're going to Disneyland,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
In
and
your
you're
towel.
yeah,
And you
and
put your hand on your hip and you
you
hold your coffee mug up and you're just taking the sights.
just take it in.
Yeah.
That's how I felt. I felt like I was taking it in,
Mm-hmm.
even though I had already played the game, and that's why this game is for wanderers, is because I wasn't trying to beat it. I had already beat the story of the DLC.
Yeah.
I exited this apartment and I was taking it in. I was just like, that's the magic of no loading screen
Right.
between where you live and the city.
Yeah, it doesn't break the immersion whatsoever. And I think you were gonna say this, but you go to Disneyland and you stay on property.
Yeah,
Like
yes.
our East
Yes.
Coast people are gonna be like, yeah, we stay at one of the resorts right on Disneyland or Disney World.
Yep.
But Disneyland in
Yep.
California is like you got two choices, I think. You have the Disney California, which is like you got to be Bill Gates to stay there because it costs like
Yeah.
2,000 a
Yeah.
night. And then I think there's another one that's a little further away, but it's still kind of sort of on property. It's a short ride away.
We took the kids to Legoland
Hmm.
last year.
Oh, you build your own hotel there.
Yeah,
They're like,
yeah.
okay, here's your bucket of 20 million blocks. Go ahead and build your room out.
Get started.
Yeah.
Get going. Yeah, it's a little drafty. I'll say that.
The
It's a little,
windows.
the wind just whistles right through those walls.
Oh, I built mine out of Technic pieces, and so there was holes and everything.
Yeah. You don't have to be Bill Gates to stay like right on property there. It makes such a difference. Yeah, it's like, it's the difference between staying somewhere and then every morning getting on a shuttle like for half an hour to get to the park.
That's the real life loading screen is that freaking shuttle.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Like
Yeah.
we're frugal kind of in some cases. And so
Yeah.
we'll stay at I think it's the Marriott or I don't know, one of these corporate hotels it's probably about 3 miles away, but it takes 40 minutes
It
to
takes a while.
to get.
Yeah.
to get to Disneyland.
That's probably what we would do for Disneyland. But yeah, with Legoland, it's a little more affordable. And it was like, yeah, like talking about Dazra. I promise it's related, but yeah, like you come out of the hotel room, and it's like the park is right there,
Yep,
and
that's nice.
there you go.
They have early entry too.
Yes, yeah.
That's it. Yep.
So there you go. That's what Shattered Space, the apartment, felt like.
Because I saw you maybe thought earlier that they had the same apartment style somewhere else. Is the one in Aquila City? There's two available there, right? There's a small one and a larger one. Is the small one no loading?
See, now I'm curious because I don't know.
I don't remember.
I know I've saved money in my original first playthrough to get the apartment in Neon.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm honestly struggling to remember if there's like a loading screen or not, because I felt there was. The apartment you get at the end of the UC storyline. Please, if you're listening, you can confirm or deny in the comments. But as I recall, I think it's a loading screen to get in, but they have a balcony that overlooks New Atlantis.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So in a way, it's sort of seamless because you can jetpack off of these balconies and just be down in New Atlantis.
It's not like they stop you from jumping off the balcony because it's a separate world, in the code, so to say.
And that's what's kind of fascinating about the loading screens in Bethesda games is they've shown that they don't necessarily need them. But I really think it's like you said, it's not a separate world. I think the loading screens are sort of just like physics placement devices. Because like the physics can get crazy. We've all played Skyrim where we walked out of town and a friggin' mammoth gets sent flying through the sky just from the loading screen.
Mm-hmm.
I really think that's the purpose of the loading screens.
That kind of makes sense because the logic is that you're going to take a bunch of stuff, coffee mugs or little stuff. What are they called? The stuffed animal things that you can collect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
you have those plushies. Thank you. You have those sitting around your apartment, and the engine needs to know if there's physics objects that need to be rendered and might be able to be bouncing around the apartment, I guess.
Yeah. So I mean that's my take on it, but yeah. So the UC, like, you've got that balcony, but you're so high up in New Atlantis that it's not the same as the Dazra opening the door and like just being in the plaza. Like, it's got me really, like, I did it, and then I took my character, I'm already New Game Plus, so I'm already, like, starting again. So I could go to Dazra right now, but I would have to redo the whole story, but it does make me want to try, like, committing to that apartment, like, because that's always the toughest thing about Bethesda games. Right. It's like your apartment in New Diamond City. You're like, cool, I've got it. Now I'm gonna okay, bye, and you go wander the game.
I'd rather build a really cool outpost somewhere on a planet that I love.
Yeah,
and make that home base. Now I will still buy get the apartment in the quest line. Right. So I'll have a place in the expansion.
You'll have it.
And I've bought like the little tiny one that's in neon, and there is always going to be that one that you want to have feel like your actual home base, where you put your mannequins with the cool outfit or armor set that you got. Or so where's that for you? Do you have because you have I don't know. You have quite a few armor sets, right?
Well, I did. I did before I went New Game Plus.
Yes. That's the conundrum.
I just
so the ones from the video, the red and yellow set from the video, that's on that character.
Oh, those are gone.
Oh, buddy!
Wow.
No way. That surprises me.
Everyone needs to know there is no limit to my ability to move on and declutter my game. Yeah.
Wow. On one
No,
hand, like you
yeah.
feel like as a completionist, I feel you're very dedicated. So I guess it's the joy of completing it, getting the achievement or whatever, and then
Yeah.
you're not worried about it. God, I bet
I
your
just
closet is amazing in real life. Is your closet like minimal?
it's I'm no, it's okay. It's not. I'll tell you what, it's not like our I don't know about your previous generation. My parents definitely like they've got an attic, right? It's
Hmm.
full of stuff.
Yep.
I don't have as much stuff as my parents.
Thank God. Our parents all have so much useless crap.
They keep everything, right?
Yeah, it's
They
such a
just keep
burden.
everything.
Hmm.
But I'm not to the point where I want to be minimalist.
Hmm.
But I'm working on it. Definitely trying to get rid of stuff.
Yeah, I always think about this every time we go, like with the family. A lot of times you go out on a Saturday or Sunday, whatever it is, and you come back with
Yeah.
all these bags, like bags from Target or shoe shopping, whatever it is. All this stuff accumulates and fills your house. And unless you make a concerted effort to really get rid of stuff.
Here's the thing, like there's things that I definitely don't regret. Like for instance, yeah, we bought the $150 beautiful Vasco statue. It's like a
Hmm.
foot tall. I like that kind of thing because it's big and it's really well done. It looks amazing and it's a statement piece for your house during the time that I'm playing lots of Starfield. It belongs here.
Hmm.
It's great. But then like there's this other game. So there's this game, very different game called Balatro. It's a deck building
Oh, cool.
um, poker solitaire RPG
Oh, those are
roguelike.
fun.
It's
I didn't
so
think I would
crazy.
like those, but
Yeah,
they're absolutely fun.
I can. This is a Starfield podcast, but I can highly recommend Balatro to anyone. I love this
Mm.
game.
That's now on my
But
radar. I'm gonna have to check that out.
yeah, yeah. So it's free on Apple Arcade Plus. So like I have it on my phone,
Hmm.
but they just released a special edition physical copy for Xbox. Now, I usually buy games digitally, but one of the appeals of this is that it came with the special edition. It was like 30 bucks, comes with the game, and then it came with 15 little Joker cards because the game you collect like you can find up to 150 different types of Jokers. Like they all have special abilities.
Hmm.
Anyway, my point is like that was really appealing to me at first. I was like, "Oh man, that's so cool, the little Joker cards." But then there's this part of my brain, it's that minimalist part of my brain that says, "Where would these go?
Right.
In a drawer?
There's
Like
literally
what
no
would
more
I
room in my house. There's no more
no,
drawers. There's no more shelves. There's no more
like what would I
boxes.
do with this?" Like that's
Hmm.
so yeah, I'm very conscious about those things. Now, a little mini Vasco statue to go on my desk? Absolutely, because I
Hmm.
know where it's going. It's going on my desk. If there's gaming swag or anything else like that appeals to me, I always ask myself, what am I going to do with this after I get it? And if
Right.
the answer is it's going to go in a drawer somewhere, I do not buy that thing.
Well, I got you the Todd Howard bobblehead for Christmas. So I hope you have
Well,
space
that's
for it.
perfect.
He's just bobbing all the time when you're when
Well,
you're
that's
playing your
perfect
game.
because you know about my shrine. You know about my Todd Howard shrine. So, yeah,
Oh, yep.
there's
The
always a
blood
place
and the
for that.
feathers and
The
what else is in
candles.
there? Candles. Yeah.
It looks just like Shattered Space. It's got all the candles and the statues and
Yeah. I bet there's a gravity anomaly in there.
uh yeah. But I mean, talking about this apartment, you were talking about settling down.
Hmm.
I did want to mention that there are tutorials out there on how to take over POIs.
Mm. Okay.
Did you know about this?
Take over, like live in one?
Yeah, so essentially, you know how the game blocks you from setting an outpost like too close
Yeah.
to a POI?
Hmm.
Well, we won't go in how to do it here on the podcast because there's a lot of ins and outs.
Is it kind of like a hack, or is it like a role playing, or is it
It's
an
a
actual
hack.
thing? Okay, it's a hack.
It's doable in vanilla. You don't need, so for people that don't want to download mods, there is a way to trick the game essentially into letting you sort of set down like a base
Hmm.
and start building around a POI. Now,
Wow.
some POIs, you wouldn't want to take over, but there's like the satellite array.
Hmm.
I've always like thought that was really cool because it's like it's a small building, very manageable, but yes, I thought I would bring that up because there's been so many times where I've landed at a like a nice little POI and I've thought I would love to just make this like let us start a base this way because you have to build so much. Build,
Yeah,
decorate.
it's nice to
Why
incorporate
not?
existing I mean, because that's also what you would do in real life. Talk about role playing. I mean, if you rolled into a
Yeah.
planet and you either took over or became friendly with whoever was there, and you would incorporate that into your outpost.
I would love to see this incorporated into the main game and maybe they'll never do it, but you're right. Like it fits the lore. There's
Hmm.
all these abandoned buildings. Why wouldn't there be a precedent for taking it over? I love how they're already decorated with like the clutter and stuff. So
Hmm.
like the magazines and the food and whatever.
That's a lot of
I,
time to
yeah,
place all that stuff, right?
yep,
Hmm. Yeah,
yeah.
it'd be nice to be able to save a little time and just kind of add your own stuff to something that was already out there.
It does feel. It feels like it could be that they're planning that in the future. I don't know. Like that could be an option for the
Hmm.
future.
Have you added any new Creation Club content?
I get this very difficult thing that I deal with where that's what I was thinking. I was like, yeah, now I'm gonna mod the hell out of my game.
Hmm.
I got all the achievements from Shat Spa, and I'm like, here we go, mod time. And I get in there, and I just don't know what to get because I start to think, oh, I want survival stuff,
Right.
or I want more realistic space travel.
What's that
But
term
then
where there's like too
yeah,
much stuff and it makes you indecisive and it
yeah,
rhymes? It's like indecision
it's
paralysis, analysis paralysis, or something like that,
that.
maybe.
Oh yeah, it could be that because it's definitely similar to like when you when you try to figure out what to watch on Netflix.
That's it. That's
Um,
what I'm thinking. Yeah.
yeah,
I have the
yeah,
same experience. Like I went into Creation Club and I'm like, yeah, blacked out weapon pack. That's cool. Keep scrolling. What else is there? And you get on that scroll
yeah,
and nothing's speaking to me in a big way. There's cool stuff, but
yeah.
yeah.
This is where I find the Discord very helpful. Like
Mm,
we have our Discord, and I think it's just better when somebody pops in and recommends a mod that they
right.
tried out. They're like, this mod's really cool. It does this. Honestly, I don't know. I feel like I'm not getting it from browsing Creation Club. I feel like I have to go to our Discord and see what people are playing and enjoying.
Hmm.
Those recommendations from the community are so helpful. That I feel like that's the only way I'm gonna really know what to download.
I mean, it's
Um,
not just when you think about it, it's not just Creation Club where you get that kind of like, what do I do? What do I do? That's what's cool about the Starfield Adventure Club is, hey, we're all going to this planet,
yeah,
and it gives you a sense of something to do in the game. And shout out to Cherry Bomb for running the
yep,
Starfield Adventure Club. Thank you.
absolutely.
Yep.
It's like when you go to Costco and they only have one option for tortilla chips. They don't have 10 different options.
Hmm.
They got this. You want tortilla chips? This is the one brand. And they've
Wait,
proven. Does anyone know what I'm talking about?
I don't
They've
follow.
proven.
Wait, are you saying that Costco only has one brand of tortilla chip?
I'm saying that Costco will often only have one or two brands of any particular thing, so
Kirkland.
that you're not. Yeah.
Isn't it like
um,
Kirkland brand chips
it
or
well,
something?
so Kirkland is their brand, but
Hmm.
sometimes they'll have, I don't know, Tostitos or whatever, but they do that so you're not like there forever trying to
Ah,
figure out which brand is better.
yeah.
They're just like, no, we figured it out for you.
It's the
This
in and
is
out menu. It's like hamburger, cheeseburger,
Yes, yeah, cheeseburger,
vanilla
fries. What
shake,
do you want?
chocolate shake. Yeah.
Vanilla shake? Yeah, yeah. That's exactly
Yeah.
that's
Except
exactly what Starfield Adventure Club is.
Costco does have a secret menu, just like In and Out, though, and you go down into the basement, and there's $300 prime rib instead of the
Yeah.
$1.50 hot dogs. You can actually go to the real restaurant that's underneath Costco
Right, the
for the
hidden one.
discerning Costco member.
It's like it's like a speakeasy.
Yeah.
There's It's like there's this big pallet of toilet paper, and it's in it just like the washing machine in Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
You press a button, it's like and it lifts up. Yeah.
It's toilet paper. Yeah. 100%. It's the toilet paper wall that moves aside. Yep.
Yeah, you gotta have the diamond level card for that.
Yeah. Super duper diamond level.
With Starfield, I've definitely in that mode where it's my comfort game,
Hmm.
so I still will pop into it more than any other game. Right now, I'm trying to play Alan Wake 2 finally,
Oh,
since it's
so
been a
I
year. Yeah.
finally installed Alan Wake. I haven't actually pressed start yet, and I'm
Yeah.
gonna play hopefully this weekend when I get some time.
That is one of my favorites. That's one of
Hmm.
my favorites. The original, and then yeah.
When did the Shattered Space come out? About a month ago, right?
Yeah, I think it's been about a month.
You've had one complete playthrough. When we first started our podcast, we rated the vanilla game.
Mm.
I think we both gave it eights out of 10. Eight out of 10, right?
Yeah, I think that's where we were at.
What's your score? What's your Shat Spa score, having
Mm.
gone through it once?
I would say, I mean, it's tough for me to give anything a 10 out of 10. I would definitely say like probably a 9 out of 10.
That
I
high?
and I
Okay.
I rate it that high just
So
because
you loved it. Like 9 out of 10 is
I
like, I loved every second
yeah.
of it. I love the monster design. I love the world. I love the city, the outfits, the story.
If I were to think about there was just like very minor things, but every once in a while there was a minor thing that I'm like, huh, that was a weird choice.
Hmm.
Maybe I would go 8 out of 10 only because, yes, I absolutely loved it. I loved how they put all unique POIs in this one big land area. And I don't even dislike how the original game has handled the POIs. I
Hmm.
don't, I might be, our group might be some of the few people that are like fine with it, apparently. But I love it. But I love how they did this. I loved exploring. The only thing that my two criticisms maybe are optimization. I don't drive the Rev 8
Hmm.
in Shat Spa
Oh,
because it
wow. Okay.
feels a little rough. Yeah,
Put this into
yeah,
context. It's Series S at 60 frames per second, right?
X.
X.
I'm playing on the Series X, which is
Okay.
the better
But
the
you are
better one.
playing the 60 FPS.
60, yeah, performance mode, 60 FPS.
Hmm.
They could still improve that. They're improving the game constantly. So if they can just work on performance.
Have we had a patch since?
I don't think so. Well,
We
some people
haven't.
have noticed
Yeah.
a very small patch, but
Hmm.
maybe it was a hot fix. there wasn't even enough for them to give patch notes or anything. So
Mm.
my only other thing this is tiny disappointment. So there's an armory that you can't access at first because they don't trust you. They're like, whatever. Then they're like, okay, we trust you. You can now buy from our armory. And I was like, oh, cool. And then I go and they don't even have DLC weapons, or maybe they have one or two, but
Hmm.
it's a bunch of the same weapons that you get out there in the other game. So I don't know if this is like a role play thing where it's like, oh, now you can access outsider weapons. And it's like, dude, I already have outsider weapons.
Yeah, they built
Like,
up the expectation of there is something special in here. We're not going to allow you in quite yet.
yeah,
And then,
yeah.
surprise, it's the same old, same old. Yeah, I think
I-
that's
that was weird to me. Yeah.
it. Probably has special stuff that they ran into a bug. They had to roll back maybe when they launched the DLC.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hopefully, they will update that because that seems like an oversight.
I thought that was really strange. I was like, you guys were hyping up this armory. There's like
Hmm.
nothing here. Like, so I don't
It's
know.
like it's like the guy who had to use like master lock picking to open up the box, and there's nothing inside.
There was a lockpick.
A lockpick, yeah.
Like, wow, I used 2 lockpicks to get into this.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, but other than that, yes, I loved the DLC. I thought it had a great mix of just story and gameplay, and it was fun. My God, not spoiling anything, but when you finally get to the last area, it has some of the coolest, most gorgeous locations in the entire game. And so
Mm,
I think that's one of the reasons I loved it so much, was this feeling of, wow, I'm actually seeing something very new. And this location is unique to the DLC. It's unique to that mission. The only way to see it again is to play the story again, play that mission again.
mm. Interesting.
Yeah. You'll know what I'm talking about when you get to it,
Hmm.
but I was just like, the whole time I'm running around just going, I love this. All of this is amazing. Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah, the Varunkai system, did you end up exploring more? Like the
I
surrounding?
did.
Okay. Just
Yeah,
kind of
and
typical planets.
it's okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. The additional planets, I think that's kind of was what I was expecting. I kind of was expecting that they were going to put their heart and soul into Dazra, and then outside of it, on that same planet, it's still interesting, like, to go. That's what I like. There are different biomes
Hmm.
on the planet of Varunkai.
Hmm.
So that's cool. Then there's like a couple other planets with some animals, but they're the same. There's creatures that we've seen elsewhere.
Right.
I do want to say regarding the Varun people, House Varun.
Yes.
I went through this interesting passage of feeling towards them where before the DLC.
Well, 2 weeks ago, you said that you were all in.
Yes, yes, yes.
Has that
So
changed?
what's funny, yes, so it's funny because, but yeah, to follow up on that, beforehand, I'm just like, oh, Varun, I don't know, they believe some pretty wacky stuff. And then, yes, I get there and I'm like, these are wonderful people, which they are. They're wonderful people. And then it's funny, they're not even real, but I'm like, just in my experience, um,
Hmm.
they're wonderful people. And then I was like all in, and I got the neck tattoo, and I was like, yeah, I'm joining. And then
That's
yeah,
a serious
it's not.
commitment. I mean, especially when you find out that the neck tattoo is actually Hello Kitty. So,
Right.
I mean, that's a big commitment.
But so then, as you play the story, and I don't think this is really spoiler, as you play the story, you're sort of reminded that they have some extreme views on people that apostasize, for example,
Mm,
people who fall away from believing in the Great Serpent. And they have
sure.
some pretty harsh punishments, and you can kind of see how like some of these beliefs drive a wedge between family members. And so
You're
like
walking around Dazra and you're wondering why is everybody missing their left hand? You just kind of thought
yeah,
it was a thing on the planet, but it turns out they were all getting their hands chopped off for
it's
going against the Great Serpent.
it's really, that's kind of the feeling. Is in the Discord we were talking about it, and I said I was reminded of the movie The Interview where James Franco goes and starts hanging out with um, Kim Jong Un, and Kim Jong Un is showing him a great time, and he's like, yeah, this is not so bad. And then there's this moment where in the film where Kim Jong Un starts giving a speech, like an angry speech about death to his enemies, and there's that moment where James Franco is like, oh, right, yeah, this is an extreme place. And I so felt that way. I was just like, oh, right, I forgot you guys are really strict.
Hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah, it just
I'm
seems like pop culture parallels real life in so many ways.
I have to hand it to Bethesda. Like, thank you for not um they didn't water down House Veroon. And
Hmm.
I'm grateful because I feel like there's always they still made them a complicated group. That's what's good. There's still good people there. There's good people that believe in the Great Serpent. But I love that they didn't try to go, oh, see, you misunderstood them. They're all good.
Mm.
Well, no, there's good people with very extreme views and beliefs. So thank you, Bethesda, for not watering them down,
Hmm.
trying to make it more palatable. It's just exactly where it needs to be. Where you go in, you like some people, you're afraid of other people. Great.
I say we take off and nuke them from orbit. It's the only way to be sure.
Only way to be sure.
That sounds fascinating. I am excited to get back in. I've played maybe an hour into the expansion. So a lot to discover on my end. And as you said, you're excited to go back and actually do it a second time.
Yep. Yep.
Well, should we talk about our Patreon?
Yeah, absolutely. For anyone that doesn't know, we have a Patreon. It helps us support things that we're doing for the podcast and for our YouTube channel,
Hmm.
just to keep that Starfield content coming out.
We appreciate all the patrons.
Yeah, and essentially what that gets you is early access. It gives you ad-free content. It gets you access to the ad-free podcast. In addition to that, there's hey, we don't like curse a lot. We're not like throwing F-bombs and stuff, but sometimes the game does. I got to tell you, it's just not worth it on YouTube to not censor it. So that's another benefit is on YouTube, these videos get censored. We bleep out the curse words from the game, but on Patreon, we don't. So if you like that sweet, sweet, uncensored Starfield content, that's where you get it.
It's a veritable sailor's den of iniquity.
Yeah, depending on what mission you're playing. And actually, you know what? You can also join for free. We have a few free things that we pop out into the Patreon, and you can kind of hang out and talk to people. And we've got a couple people that joined for free this month. Magica Addict and Dan Harner, thank you so much for popping in and seeing what we're doing.
Yes, indeed. Well, I want to thank our legendary supporters who are Chim Chim, the Great Serpent, Bergenstock, Space Cadet 829, Kittlehara, Rampage, American X, Cherry Bomb RN, Griffin, and Zigra Rocks.
Yes, huge thanks to our legendary supporters, and thanks to everyone that listens on Spotify, Apple, or anywhere else that you can get our podcast. And thanks to those watching on YouTube. All of our links are provided in the show notes below.
Extra special thanks for comments and feedback. If you have a comment, suggestion, or an in-game story to share, you can leave a comment on our YouTube page. You know what, Michael? I want to read one because it's actually to me. I was talking about how hard the final battle is in the Crimson Fleet questline. Dealey's86 responded that the last pirate mission was tough. I found alternating power to engines as much as possible to get out of range so you only engage one ship at a time helps heaps.
Yeah.
Yes. I did actually try that a little bit, and somehow I'm so bad at space battle that I went directly to their flagship and it immediately obliterated me. But yeah, I think that's a great tip.
Also, I wanted to read a comment from Nonstop Ram, who said, I completed the main story of Shattered Space and did some side content. I enjoyed it overall, and I'm looking forward to seeing what else can be found in this DLC. Most importantly, they said, it is best experienced by taking it a little slow and not try to rush through everything. Embrace what the Great Serpent has to offer. All must serve. So, yes, absolutely. So we've got a very dedicated House of Veron member here.
Yeah, he's missing his left hand, by the way.
Yeah, but definitely agree. That's what I tried to do. When the DLC came out, I just didn't want to rush it. I absolutely agree.
Mm-hmm.
So if you like the show, consider dropping a 5-star review on your favorite podcast app. That would really help us out.
Thanks for traveling the Starfield with us. Make sure you subscribe because we'll be back for more.
We'll see you then.